Welcome to our sponsored spotlight segment of the show, where our most valuable sponsor is interviewed by the crew of It's a Great Day for Business Atlanta. Our special guest anchors today are
Steve Tuckerman,
Todd Wilson,
Chris Phelan.
And we are here to speak with Brandy Nagel, rhymes with bagel, and her company is Marketing Catalyst. So welcome to our member forum. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about some of the things that you have going on. We know you're in social media. We know that you write some wonderful books here. So let's start with social media, small business owner.
Okay, great. Well, I started with social media working at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, as you may know, is a state-run school, and my first day in the marketing department, I was kind of surprised that there was not a marketing budget. Well, it's taxpayers' money, so of course they're really cautious with how they spend money, and they don't waste it on marketing. So it was a great opportunity to learn about social media. This was 2007 when everything was just bursting open, and that's how I got all of my experience with social media and working with small companies.
What made you make the change to an independent entrepreneur?
That's really easy. I was laid off. And so I was laid off on a Monday, and Tuesday I had my first client. It went really well. I really enjoyed the independence. I really enjoyed having a strong voice and helping a company grow, and I was hooked after that.
Absolutely wonderful. Small business owners today in the marketplace, one of the hardest puzzle pieces I think they have is the social media marketing portion. Branding, of course, you know, kind of goes hand in hand with that. Can you tell us a little bit about your best success?
Just finished a project with a client in, I'll refrain from mentioning their name because it's a little bit complicated, but in April of last year they were afraid they were going to close their doors, and in December of the same year they have a pipeline that's filled for the next 2 years. They really can't do any more marketing because they had to hire additional staff just to deal with the business that they have. And it can happen just like that with social media marketing.
We've seen that happen with some success stories on Amazon.com as well, going from 0 to 60 and not being able to gear up and gear down, which is very crucial in today's marketplace. Steve, you got a question for us?
we all know, at least up here, how important social media marketing is to businesses in general, and particularly to small businesses. What would be your advice in terms of what are the top 3 things in that priority that a small business person needs to do? In other words, this is step 1, this is step 2, and this is step 3 to get their social media marketing project rolling.
Well, it depends a little bit on what the business is, but generally speaking, I'm going to say it's most important to have a website that's interactive, that includes having some video, some audio, maybe an email newsletter, something that really engages the audience. I think the second part is going to be ongoing communication with the audience, and that's an email newsletter that really resonates with the audience. And the third thing is probably something special for their niche. It might be Facebook, it might be Twitter, it kind of depends on who the business is. And you know, these are all really easy steps to take. None of it's really too time consuming, and most of it's free, really.
I actually woke up this morning and read a great blog post by a gentleman named James Wedmore, who's really into video marketing, and his blog post was talking about how he had rounded out his dating profile on Match.com and then related it to, you know, how he has worked his social media and works with his clients. And one of the things he touched on most was the consistency and also using humor. Can you speak to that for our viewers and to how that can really needs to play into their social media?
Careful with humor, because
well, tactful humor.
Tactful humor.
Right.
I think the most important thing about social media is you're connecting with other human beings, and humor is a really powerful way to do that, right? It's important to be respectful in our humor, and also to try and make light of things that aren't going to have an evergreen quality, that are going to be funny 2 years from now, because once you put it on YouTube, it really doesn't go away forever and ever.
Right. Chris, you have a question for our guest?
What's the best way to, is it true that, you know, you can be overwhelmed by the different social media? There's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter. I've been told that you're probably best to become good at maybe two. What would you say to that for a business owner?
I think I agree with that. I'm not sure that it's the same too for every person. So high-tech companies, for example, there's a website called Quora, Quora.com, and that's a really powerful website for people in the high-tech field. So I would suggest for them in high-tech, Quora and maybe Twitter or LinkedIn, and that would be enough. But really, it's not possible for us to keep up track of everything that's out there. It's true that there's way too many different platforms for us to master all of them. So the trick is to pick 1, 2, maybe 3 and master them.
I've got a question for you, Brandy. I'm going to kind of segue back to where we were earlier. You said you got into this industry because you got let go. And that has happened to so many people in today's market. People are becoming entrepreneurs sometimes out of necessity. So can you explain to us what sort of fears and tribulations you went through and how you got to where you are today? Because obviously you're doing well.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. I myself am a reluctant entrepreneur. It happened by accident. I'm happy that it did. I think the first thing most folks can do is just try something small, and particularly if a person has been laid off, then LinkedIn is the right place to start. I think past that, then it's really important to go to Facebook and try to connect with people that can be a support system. The trials and tribulations that I faced were unique, I think, to my business in getting my name out. I was pretty adept with social media, so that was not a struggle for me. But I did have a hard time learning how to grow and build my business and get my name out there. And because of that, I was led to write the book Digitally Famous to help other people learn how to get their name out there.
Absolutely wonderful. Tell us a little bit about Digitally Famous. And this is not your first book, this is your second book. So tell us the transition between the first book and what's that Digitally Famous. Okay.
Well, the first book, I've got both of them sitting here. This is From Wedding Gown to Divorce Dresses, and it's just a fun book. And honestly, I wrote it because I wanted the experience of writing a book. It was an idea that I had for a long time, and it was just fun to write and it's fun to read. But Digitally Famous is really where my heart is, because it's a book for people who are newly laid off and freaking out, or for people who are long-term unemployed and freaking out, because I've been there, done that. And I think that this book is all of the advice that I give to people when I do volunteer work. I volunteer at Roswell United Methodist Church in their career ministry. It's a fairly well-known career ministry, not just in the Roswell area, but greater Atlanta. And they've been written up on the Wall Street Journal, so they've even got some national fame now as well. But I work there as a LinkedIn reviewer. And the questions that I get are about LinkedIn, of course, but also people trying to figure out how do they incorporate Google Plus into their job search, or how do they incorporate Twitter into what they're doing to try and develop their career. And so this book helps to address all of that.
What's your favorite chant?
Called Get Off the Couch. Because social media is great. Of course, I'm a great believer, but if all you do is sit in front of your computer, you're missing out. Not just during your career search, but during life. The most important thing about your computer is the off button, and to go sit and talk with some real people and connect with some real people in your community.
Chris?
Question I have for, so tell me about your outreach. How did you reach out, and how did you get yourself known? You had a book, you had social media. How did you do maybe the networking that might be of interest to a lot of people that are just launching their business?
I found Meetup.com to be a really powerful way to meet people, and what I love about Meetup is that it's free to join. You put in a zip code and you start to see who are the interesting groups in your community. And you might not know this, but I'm a little bit of a shy person, but going to a Meetup group, I always feel like there's people there that I can connect with because we've already got something in common, and it's always in a safe environment, and it generally attracts really pleasant and fun interesting professional people. So that's how I started my outreach, was going to meetups and meeting people within the community.
For being a guest here. Oh, Todd, did you have a question? I'm
I
sorry.
did not.
Oh, okay. Thank you for joining us. It's a great day for business Atlanta.
My pleasure. Thank you.